So we know the formula for a permutation of n things taken r at a time is n factorial over n minus r factorial. What I want to show you is a shortcut for computing permutations, which you can completely ignore if you choose. Let's just look at one or two examples and we can see how this is working. If we have, for example, p of 7 choose 5. So that's going to be 7 factorial over 7 minus 5 factorial. This is 7 factorial over 2 factorial. Well, when we go to write this out, and I don't care so much right now about what the number is that we get, we see that the 2 and the 1 and the 2 and the 1 can cancel, and really all we need to multiply is 7 times 6 times 5 times 4 times 3. Let's look at another example. Let's say we have the permutation of 4 things taken 3 at a time. So this is 4 factorial over 4 minus 3 factorial, which is 4 factorial over 1 factorial, which is 4 times 3 times 2 times 1 over 1. The 1's cross off, and we get just 4 times 3 times 2. One more. Let's say we have the permutation of 6 things taken 2 at a time. So this is 6 factorial over 6 minus 2 factorial, which is 6 factorial over 4 factorial. So this is 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1 over 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. And the 4 factorial essentially crosses off, and we have 6 times 5. So now let's take a look at what we have. When in the first example we have 7 times 6 times 5 times 4 times 3, how many numbers, if you take a look, how many numbers are you multiplying here? You're actually multiplying 5 numbers. That's the same as this 5. Let's look at the next example, 4 times 3 times 2. When you cross everything off, you're left with multiplying 3 numbers. That's the same as this number here. And for 6 choose 2, we are left with 6 times 5. That's 2 numbers, which is exactly the same as this number here. Hopefully you see a pattern developing. So let's try to generalize this. What we can see now is that if we want to do the permutation of n things taken r at a time, we're going to start n factorial. But how far are we going to go? We're going to multiply r spaces. So we're not going to actually write out all of n factorial. We're only going to multiply out r spaces. So this works nicely when you're dealing with much larger numbers. For example, the permutation of 52 things taken 2 at a time. You're not going to want to write everything out, and you're certainly not going to want to try and multiply that on your calculator. But what we just saw is the shortcut is we can start multiplying 52 factorial, but all we need to do here is go out 2 spaces, 52 times 51, and that'll give us our answer. Because if you were to set it up, you would see everything else is going to cancel. Another example, let's say we wanted to do the permutation of 70 things taken 5 at a time. So again, we start 70 factorial, and we do 70 times 69 times 68 times 67 times 66, but we stop after the 5 spaces. And so that's the shortcut for doing permutations. Again, you can ignore it, you can go back to doing the formula, but this actually makes the problems go that much faster.